Hello, this is Xavier Navarro, and this is my presentation about hard disks. This is an actual class which I'm going to perform in my school, and it's an introduction. It's for 16-year-olds. It's the hardware class, and it's an introduction about well, hard disks, as you can see. Let's begin. Let's begin about speaking what hard disks are. This might be obvious, but hard disks are the most common storage system for non-volatile storage. We will discuss a little bit about the difference between volatile and non-volatile storage, but so far we can say, we can speak about a little bit what hard disks are used for. Basically, hard disks are used for installing our operating systems. We could boot a computer using a different kind of system, but the most convenient part and the most usual part is booting our operating systems using a hard disk. Remember from the previous class that we actually at boot when a computer is booting, actually the third step is the computer looking for the master boot record, and the master boot record is usually in it's the first sector of our hard disks. Okay, so well, reason number one we're speaking about hard disks is because it's where we install our operating systems. It's also where we install software. We run our programs from our hard disks, and well, we can run programs from other disks, but it's the most common storage source for our software. Finally, the big use for hard disk is storing user data. We actually, we code, we have our pictures, our music, everything stored in hard disks. We can store information in other kinds of supports, such as, pen drives or well, flash drives is the correct name. Uh, External storage, external drives, DVDs, Blu-rays, all kind of storage. But basically, you probably have mostly everything in your computer in your hard drive. So hard drives are really important as components. Okay. Since I'm a bit old, I can tell you I remember the time when we didn't have hard drives and everything had to be loaded from floppy disks. Just to make a bridge between the previous lesson where we started RAM and this lesson in which we're speaking about hard disks, we have to make a big distinction and a big difference because you sometimes make this mistake of making, there's a confusion sometimes between what a hard disk is and what RAM is. Because basically now they use the same unit. We're speaking about gigabytes all the time. So you may think, oh, I have a computer with 500 gigabytes of memory, and you'll be completely wrong because we will be speaking about hard disks. Okay, so as for the sake of comparison, let's speak about both kinds of storage, and I hope you will understand the differences. First of all, hard disks are called secondary storage. They're called secondary storage because RAM is our main storage. Remember, it's the first place our computer goes to fetch information. Then hard drives are non-volatile. That means that when we turn off the computer, the information is still there, whereas RAM is volatile. What happens when you're playing your most favorite game and the computer crashes? You lose your game. So that's what volatile actually means. Then the capacity, actually, hard disks are able to store large quantities of data. I'm sure you have your hard disk is already over a terabyte in storage. Whereas the information of data you can store in your RAM is much less, be about 4 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes, 16 gigabytes. That's about 250 times less. Okay, then hard disks are relatively cheap. You can store a lot of information using, for 100 euros, you can get about more than 1 terabyte, and that's a lot of information as per now. Whereas, let's see, how much does a simple RAM chip cost? Remember that? Anyway, the final difference between hard disks and RAM is that even if they're solid state disks, which we'll discuss at the end of this lesson, uh, they're completely slow compared to RAM. I mean, RAM is basically plugged into the front side bus and it goes really quick, whereas the hard disks are plugged into the south bridge backside bus, and they take well, they're comparatively slower, even even if we use solid state technology. Let's speak about the parts of a hard disk. The first thing we have to take into account is that we're not going to discuss the connector. Here's an ED connector, nor we're going to speak about the power connector. We discussed this in the mother base, in the motherboard lesson. We're going to speak about the parts of a hard disk, which we'll discuss about the platters, the actual disks, the spindles, which is where the platters are. I mean, everything that subjects holds the disks for them to rotate, and the head and the actuator, and which are the parts that are mobile. They move like this, and they read the whole surface of the platter and read and write information using magnetic properties. Let's speak about platters very briefly. If you open an old hard drive, you will see that you have from 1 to 4 platters. You may have more, but the most common thing is about 3 to 4 platters. Okay, they're aluminum discs, and they're coated in a magnetic-like substance, so they can be written and read using magnetic properties. Okay. Uh, the coating is on both sides of the discs, so information is actually stored on both sides of each disk. Okay, then each disk is divided into tracks and sectors. Tracks, as you can see here, tracks are the like the concentric circles where information is stored, and the sectors are the parts in which tracks are divided. Okay. Current sizes for hard drives are very simple. Basically, we used to have 5.25 inches disks, but these they're obsolete part now. I mean, you may see a very old one in an old computer, but you won't see them anymore. But the two important ones are 3.5 inches, which are used in modern workstations, the computers we have in the class, for instance, and 2.5, which are the most common ones and the ones you can find in portable laptops and portable hard drives. Then, if you have an old iPod, you will have an 1.8 inches hard drive as well. But these are becoming obsolete and replaced by solid state drives as well. The spindle is the part that holds the disks and the platters, and it allows for both. It also has a motor and makes rotate the platters at a constant speed. Okay, they always rotate also in the same direction, so data can be written really fast. Also, read and written really fast. Okay, uh, information is stored because because the spindle rotates, so they can read and write in this part, or they can read and they can, they can read and write in this part, and they can read or write in this part and this way. Okay, while it rotates. Okay. Now let's discuss about the parts that actually perform the read and read. The parts that actually read and write. They're called heads, and the heads are hold. The heads are, they're being held by actuators. The actuators are also, the actuators are also the arms that move like this, so the head can cover the whole surface of the disk. Okay. Finally, a hard disk has a controller, which is basically the chips and the software that translates the electrical impulses that come as data and translate it into magnetic pulses that will be written onto our disks. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the presentation. See you soon.